Hello class. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do the Spry using AP divs, image maps, and the Spry for interactive sites. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and launch Dreamweaver. And what I've done here is I've already made a folder up with my images. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that site in by clicking New Site. And I'm going to go ahead and search for that, and I did post that on my desktop. Now this, I already have my images inside of here. You see I have my large and my thumbnails. So I'm going to go ahead and select this folder, and I'm going to go ahead and name this site Spry Demo for purposes of this demo. I'll say save, and now you can see that I brought that folder in with my thumbnail images and my larger images. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to just go up to File, New, and I'm going to select a blank HTML with no layout and click on Create. And the first thing you need to do here is to set up your window or your Dreamweaver for layout purposes. And you can see here that I already have my rulers showing, and that's what we want to do. If they're not showing, go to View and click on Rulers. Make sure that you have a check mark next to Show on Rulers, and in this case we want pixels. And also with guides, I'm going to scroll down to Guides right below my rulers there, 2 down, and I want that to snap to guides. I've got that set up, so I'm just going to click out of it. And I'm going to go ahead and pull down some guides here just so that it'll help me with my layout. I'm going to go ahead and click on the actual ruler and bring down approximately to 50 pixels from the top and leave that area there. And then I'm going to click on the left ruler and click out a guide to approximately 100 pixels there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my coordinates here to that crosshair, clicking on the very top of the ruler area right here and dragging down and clicking on that intersection on the crosshairs. So now I'm going to go ahead and file save this, and I'm going to name this index. And now I'm ready to start laying out my first AP div, which will be our Spry container. And again, if you're not showing this insert menu, you can always go to Window and making sure that insert is selected, or Control F2. It's there. Now let's check. I've got my layout menu here. I'm going to go ahead and click on Draw AP Div, and I'm going to draw out a box here approximately 350 pixels wide by 350 pixels in height. And right now you don't really have to worry about the dimensions. I've got some in the handout here for you. You can always change those later. Now go ahead and click on the div itself, and I'm going to name this div at the very bottom here in Properties. Make sure that the CSS P element is showing and that you have all your information for that one div. I'm going to go ahead and name this Spry Container. I'm going to click over, and I'm going to change my dimensions just a little bit here to what I have in the handout. And right now I have 320 pixels wide by 350 in height. I'll go ahead and change those. You can see that the dimensions of my div have changed a bit. I've named again my AP div for the container, for the Spry container. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and insert a Spry for now. Again, using your insert menu, tab over to Spry. And in this case, we're going to use a Spry collapsible panel, which is the second to the last Spry element or widget in this case. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And again, I had my cursor on the inside of that div. So now you can see that I have my Spry collapsible panel in here. There's a little eye that shows. You can click to hide the panel or click to open it up. I'm going to go ahead and in the tab area of the Spry collapsible panel, I'm going to go ahead and type in here what this is going to be. This is going to be a gallery. I'm going to do Shift Enter, and I'm going to put in here a little bit of what I want the users to know about this tab. If they click on here, I want them to be able to expand the content to it. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a little bit of direction there. Click here to view thumbnails. And in the content area, I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. And I'm going to type in a little bit more in here. Click thumbnail to view larger image. I'm going to hit enter there. And I've got that set up right now, and I could start putting in my images, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to draw another div for the larger images. I'm going to go ahead and again save this. You can see that it's telling me that there's some dependent files that need to be copied here, so I'm going to say OK to that. Those all have to do with the Spry assets. Say OK. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse my properties here to give me a little bit more working area. And what I'm going to do now is drag over another guide so that I'll have a little bit of working space between that Spry, that first AP element, and my next element. So I'm going to go to Layout, and I'm going to again draw another AP div. And I'm going to draw it right like so that it'll match the height or the starting point of the other div that I have. And again, I'm not going to be too particular about the size at this point because we can always go back and change the dimensions. Again, clicking on the div itself, going back down to properties, I'm going to name this image holder, image underscore holder. Then I'm going to tab over to the width. And since I know the width of my larger images, I'm going to go ahead and just input that here. My image size is 677 pixels by 379. And at this point, I'm going to set the viz to visible. Okay. So now I have that div ready to go. Coming back to the first div, I'm going to work a little bit on the collapsible panel. And what I'm going to do here is I want to format this a little bit. As you can see, if you go to the CSS Styles, you have a CSS style for that panel itself. And you can see that you have some border colors in here, top, right, so forth. And that's for the collapsible panel itself. The tab, you can see here, has a light gray color, and so on. So you can see what the properties are for each of the elements here. So what I want to do a little bit is maybe give this some spacing here between, or some padding between the content itself and the outside area of my panel. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first add a type of heading for this. You can see it spaced things out. And you can see that right now the class it's using is collapsible panel, which doesn't change really the formatting or anything of that nature. But I'm going to go ahead and again I've changed that to a different class. And do that. And just select that tag there. Going to my CSS panels, I'm going to create a new CSS tag just for the H3 in the collapsible panel tab. And I'm going to say OK. I'm going to change the font family, the size to maybe 24. And really you can try anything here. I might even change this to a darker gray, apply, just to see what it looks like. Background color, leave that blank. In the box, I'm going to add some padding again to the left of 25 pixels. Apply. And click OK. That's a little bit larger than what I wanted it to be, but we'll certainly work on that later. I'm going to go ahead and give me some space here. And I'm going to select this and come down and give it a paragraph. You can see that kind of brings it back to what it was. Now I can apply a paragraph style to this by clicking on the tag itself and creating a new CSS rule for that. I'm going to give that a Verdana. The last one was 24, so maybe I'll give this a 16. Normal with a black color font. And again, under box, I'm going to go ahead and again uncheck same for all and give that a 25 pixels on the left. Apply and say OK. It's looking pretty good so far. I'm going to do the same for the content area. And select the P element because I have paragraph here. And say new CSS. You want to make sure you click less specific, less specific. This is only going to affect the content area in that panel for the paragraph rule. I'm going to say OK. Again, using Verdana. And maybe a 16 again for that. I'm going to give this, again, a left padding of 25 so that it matches up. Okay. File save. And I'm going to view that just to see what it looks like. And ask me to save. And there you have it. It's a little bit larger than what you do, but you can always make more adjustments as you go. You can also add images in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to insert just a small thumbnail image in this area. And I'm going to give that an alignment of right. And so there we have a little bit of an image now in there. And no border at this point, so 0 on that. And since I don't have padding on the right hand side here, what I could do is actually apply to that image a little bit of margin on the right hand side. We'll go ahead and say, oh wait, let's give this image in tab ID. Clicking on that, creating a new CSS. Okay. And box, I'm going to give this a padding on the right hand side. 25. Click apply, that's going to move it to the side there. There's no border. I could give it a little border if I wanted to, but for now I'm just going to leave it like it is. Save. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start inputting or inserting my images to the thumbnail image area. I'll save. I'm going to go up to insert image. And again, just going down the line here, image 1, image 2, image 3, and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and insert those images. Oops. Give this a little bit of a name of what it is. I added a space there, and I'm going to insert the next image. Okay. Another space, and inserting another image. Image 4. I'm going to repeat this process until I have all my images inserted. Whoops. Going down the line here. And what I'm doing here is, you can see it's still selected, but I'm making sure that I'm arrowing over, deselecting that, and then entering the space so that it'll give me a little bit of room between the formatting of the images themselves. And finally image 10 here. we go, I have all my images inserted. Okay, so now again I've saved that, I have my images inserted. Now I'm going to be making divs to insert some of these larger images here. So next what we want to do is, I want to select this div here, and it's my image holder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the visibility to hidden for now. And going over and opening my AP elements, either here on the side right below the CSS Styles panel, or going up to Window and opening up AP elements right here, F2. You can see that I can see my image holder and my Spry container, which are divs. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click underneath this little eye, and I'm going to make that not visible by having a closed eye, and then selecting image holder. That's going to select that. Now what I want to do is start putting in AP divs for the rest of my images, the larger images that are going to then be applied a behavior to, so that they can either be hidden or shown. So now I'm ready to layer those AP divs on top of each other. And again, I'm going to go to Layout and AP Div. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down another guide so that I can have a nice area here that I can follow. And I'm just putting that on the borders of that one AP div. And again, making sure that the size of this div is the correct size. Yes, it is. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my AP elements. There it is. It's selected. I'm going to go ahead and make my properties collapse so that I'll have more working area here. I'm going to go ahead and go to Layout, AP Div, Draw AP Div, and simply over this one AP div, the original one, I'm going to draw another AP div on top of there. And I'm going to select it by clicking on that tag and making sure that in properties you have that CSSP element. I'm going to go ahead and give this a name of image 1 div. You can see that my dimensions are right on because I did draw those guides in there. I'm also going to choose in Viz, I'm going to say hidden. Now repeat that process for the rest of the images. I'm going to go ahead and go to the AP element, making sure that that's not visible, and then clicking on it again, just to make sure that I have the little closed eye on that area. I'm going to go ahead and go to Draw AP Div, and again, repeat the process. Naming this, naming it image 2 div. Select, draw that AP div. And what I'm making sure I do here is I click on this tag and it gives me the properties to that CSSP element tag. Go ahead and type in here image 2. Making sure that I know which one I'm at. No, it's image 3 now. 3. Making this hidden as well. And I'm going to repeat that process for each of my images. Image 4. Hidden. Image 6. Saving periodically, making sure that you don't lose your work in case it crashes or anything like that. Three more. So again, you can collapse this properties panel to make more room for working. More. Last one. Okay, now you can start inputting your images in here. I have all these closed. I'm going to open up image holder, and I'm going to go ahead, and you can do it one of two ways. You can go up to insert image, and in this case I don't want thumbnails, I want my larger images. So I'm going to go to my large image folder here, and I'm just going to select one of these that I want people to see initially when they open up my web page. So I'm going to select the orange tree. And again, making sure that you're inside of that visible AP element. Your cursor is inside, insert image, it's very easy to miss a step sometimes when you're working within Dreamweaver. So I save on that. And now what I'm going to do is close that up and go up to image 2, show that as visible, and put in my image 1. And this time I'm going to use my files panel, and I'm just simply going to click on image 1 and click and drag it inside of that AP div. Okay, so repeat the process for each one of those AP elements. I'm going to close that down, open this one up, and click and drag image 2. This is my orange tree again. Close that down, open this up. Oops, it's not selected, so I have to make sure that that's selected. Go to my files. This is image 3, so click and drag that image. And again, repeat that process for each one of these. That's image 4. Click and drag over to image 4. And again, make sure you put an accessibility attribute to that. And file save. This is image 5. Once you have that little eyeball open, make sure you click on it so that it does select that div. It needs to be selected in order to insert that image in there. Again, repeat that process. To image 8. Oh. And that's what happens. I double clicked on it and now it's going to take it into Adobe Photoshop CSS Extended. And I don't want to do that. You could do that if you wanted to make some adjustments here. But I don't. I'm just going to close that up. And again, come back and insert image 8 to my image 8 div. It's a good way to know which image goes to what. Image 9 now. finally our last image. Oops. Drag. And right now I'm going to go ahead and save this. Okay, I have all my elements showing. Let me preview this really quick. And you can see that my last one is still visible, so that's fine. We can change that later. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make that not visible. I'm going to make the image holder visible. Spry container by default is already visible, so that's fine. And so now I'm ready to start putting in some behavior so that when visitors come to visit, when they click on one of the thumbnails, they'll be able to view that image in the large image holder container. Image holder. And again, I'm going to preview this. And everything's working fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, thumbnail to view larger image. I'm going to click on the first image here. I'm going to give that a name of image 1 for the ID. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with that selected, with the image selected, the little thumbnail. I'm going to go ahead and click on the rectangle hotspot tool. You could click on the circle one, but the rectangle hotspot tool works better for the shape of this image. Go ahead and insert an image, and in the alt text I'm going to say this is a link to larger image. And I'm going to do the same for each one of these. Select that, click on the hotspot tool, say OK, and again make sure that you put in the alt text what that map is intended to do. So this is linked to a larger image. Click on the next image there. Image 3. Draw. Click on the next image. Next image. And again, what I failed to do here is you need to be sure to put a name for this. This is going to be image 4. Map. Image 5 map. So if you don't put an image ID, it won't automatically pick that up. So it's best to put the image ID in here. And then when you draw your hotspot, it'll automatically name that. Image 6 map. Image 7. Image 8. Oops. 9. And finally, image 10. And there it is. All the maps are in there. The next step is to add some behaviors to these so that when people click on them or mouse over them, they're able to view the larger image in this area here. So let's do that next. Again, I'm going to save this. Save all, actually. Because when you make some changes, sometimes the CSS panel, you have to change all of those attached and related files. Okay, so now let's work on adding some behaviors. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the thumbnail image here, the hotspot. As you can see here, it's image 1 map. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up my behaviors tab by going to Window, Behaviors, and that's going to open up your tag inspector and behaviors. So what I'm going to do here is click on the Add Behavior plus sign here, and go down to Show Hide Elements. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tab down to the divs. Image 1, I'm going to go ahead and show that. Image 2, I'm going to hide. Image 3, hide. And then hide the rest of these. I don't want any of those other images to show. I'm going to say OK. Now you can see this. I have my on mouse over behavior to that one show element. I don't want that. I want them to be able to click on it in order for them to view it. So I'm going to go ahead and just click in this area. You'll get a drop down menu and choose on click. And I'm going to go ahead and click that again. I'm going to file save. Now, just for the sake of things in class, what was happening is that was disappearing, and what I don't want that. I want to go ahead and just make sure that that's taking up the behavior that I want it to have. So I'm going to go over here. It still says on mouse over, so I'm going to click again in here and select on click. And again, sometimes it just doesn't want to take that. But eventually it will. Sometimes when you click here, it'll disappear on you. So what I could do is click on click. We'll have to go in there and change that later, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and start adding the other behaviors to this. And I'm going to add another behavior, show hide elements. And scroll down here to my divs. I'm going to hide that first image, show the second image, and then hide everything else on the images. Hide and say OK. And again, it says on mouse over. I want on click. And see, you can see that disappeared this time. That actually is a good sign. It means that it actually took that on click command. I'm going to save that. And if you go back over to the inspector, it won't show it, but it's there. I'm going to go ahead and click here. And again, add that one behavior of show hide elements. Scroll down to my image divs. And that's my third image. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this is hidden. 2 is hidden. 3 is shown. Hide, hide, hide. Hide everything else. Say OK. And again, I'm going to click on here and say on click. Save that. Now we can test this and see if it's actually taken. And the first one's probably going to be a mouse over, and yeah, sure enough it is. The second one, we did make sure that we selected on click, and it took it that time. The third one is also working. I don't have anything on the fourth one yet, but you can see that this is working nicely. Now, going back and fixing this first one, I'm going to go ahead and go to the tag inspector. And I'm going to again try to give that a click. And there it is. It went away. I'm going to go right immediately to save that. Now if I view this, it'll be on click. So again, I'm just going to click on the Spry menu and click on the first image, second image, third image, and so on. So you want to repeat that process for all of these behaviors, for all of the thumbnails, sorry, the images. And go ahead and select that just to view where I left off here, and there it is on click. Click on this other one and continue adding those behaviors. So again, on show hide elements, I'm going to scroll down to my image divs, and that's image number 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this, hide this, hide that one, and only show number 4. Hide the rest of them. And now again, click here on the drop down menu and select on click. It disappeared. File save, file preview. So there you have it. You keep repeating that process, and before you know it, you'll have your gallery all complete. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something from this video, and I'll be posting these images as well in zipped file under resources in the Blackboard. Thank you. See you in class. Bye-bye.